Welcome.
You are watching Line Screw 1.
I won't make it easy for you now. You got 2 minutes of my time, and I don't really break too easily, but I'm worth it, 'cause I'll slip into your dreams tonight. Oh, so give me your all. I'll take it tomorrow. So I'll stick like glue inside your mind. Just watch me breaking your sphere. You're falling into me, touch me. I swear.
Well, hello tubers, hope you're doing well wherever you are in this crazy YouTube universe. Today I'm coming to you from Port Coquitlam, British Columbia, Canada, home of Canada's greatest hero, one of Canada's greatest heroes, Terry Fox, and Canada's most notorious serial killer, Willie Picton. Yes, Port Coquitlam is known for that. Anywho, I'm going to do a tour of the modifications here on my Yamaha R3. You know, it was requested by Explorer Steve, and I think a few other people might have mentioned it over the months. So I figured it was a good day to do that. So let's get going on that. First of all, there's a lot of mods that you can't see. They're kind of hidden, so I'll have to point them out. The whole idea of the modifications that I wanted to do to this bike was about lowering the weight and getting it a little quicker, especially in the eighth of a mile. Maybe not necessarily the quarter mile, but I'm sure the quarter mile is even faster due to the weight reduction. First of all, the number one thing that I did just after I bought the bike was get a zero gravity battery. I got the smallest one. It's recommended for only 250cc bikes, but it works great. I've had it installed in the bike for well over a year, and it's worked flawlessly even in the winter. That alone shaves around 5 pounds from the bike right off the hop. And you don't have to worry about topping up the battery so much for trickle charging it, because those lithium batteries tend to hold the charge quite well. Anyway, moving along here, one of the other mods that I did for safety was the mirror extenders. They actually help a lot, because these stock mirrors, unless you're extremely frail and very narrow at the at the shoulders, you actually can't see using the mirrors very well without doing the chicken wing move where you got to move your arms in to look. So these black mirror extenders actually do a pretty good job and help keep an eye on what's behind you, even though most of the time you got to be focusing on what's in front of you. And while we're at the front of the bike, let's show you the R3 radiator grill guard, the grill protector. Considering that the bike is water cooled, one good rock hitting that radiator is gonna make it leak possibly. So I figured a radiator guard for the amount of money it was definitely worth it. Don't have any crash protection on the bike yet. That's kind of the next step. The frame sliders don't have any, but you know what? Don't fall. At least I haven't. I've owned a lot of bikes. You know what? The thing about the R3 is, when I was younger, I wouldn't own anything lower than a 600. I did learn how to ride a bike when I was a young man on a 400, but these small bikes, really, you can get a lot out of them. They're not like the bikes of yesteryear, and you don't need a big bike. At least for what I do, because I haul this thing on my motorhome, so I need a light bike. I need a bike that I can still do a couple hours on the freeway or highway, and it'll hold its own, no problem, and it does that. So anyway, it works for me, and lightening it up makes it a little faster. Kind of performs kind of like the old 4-cylinder GPZ 550. It's not a bad bike, really. And this being the 2015 model, it doesn't even have the ABS. So it's a little lighter because it doesn't have the ABS sensors or modules. So that actually shaves a couple pounds off of the modern R3. And of course, this bike is pretty much near new, because I did buy it with 240 kilometers. What's that, about 150-ish miles? So it was essentially a new bike when I got it. Okay, moving on from the mods, we also got rid of that huge, cumbersome stock exhaust. Got rid of that whole darn thing and moved to just a slip-on here. Saved quite a few pounds. And the problem that it also did make was there's kind of a hole there where you stick in the slip-on, and I didn't like that, so I bought an expensive R3 heat shield from California. I think it's, I can't remember the company that makes it, but anyways, about $90 just for the heat shield. But it does add a little something to the bike, I think. It kind of fills that little gap where that hole is. And it looks good because it's, I think it's CNC cutted. Anyway, moving on, we also got the tail tidy. That actually saves a few more pounds, makes it look better. I didn't go with the TNT full eliminator with the integrated light because those are actually legal. So I went with this. This is probably barely legal. I know most jurisdictions have an issue with, how far away the signals can be from the center line of the bike. I mostly drive this bike in Washington State and in British Columbia, so I wanted to make sure I didn't get pulled over because God knows I give enough money to government already, so don't want to get picked on and pay another fine for something like that. Also, the other thing that you can't see that actually improves the performance of the bike is the throttle tube. The stock throttle tube in the R3 has a very wide radius to get to max throttle. I've replaced it with the Yamaha R3 throttle. It's a really good modification, and you can go max wrist, max throttle a lot quicker. Of course, it doesn't change the performance of your engine. Your engine still is what it is, but you can definitely get to max wrist probably 100, 200 milliseconds faster. So you do notice that mod alone made the bike move a lot quicker off the line. And speaking of improving it off the line, the other thing you cannot notice is the re-gearing of the front sprocket. Stock, it's got a 14 tooth in the front, and I moved her down one tooth down to 13. Now, if you look at the sprocket calculator website, that means based on the links and chain that I have, and the rear sprocket, that gives me 7.1% more torque. So I get a little bit more acceleration off the line. A little quicker in that quarter mile, maybe the eighth of a mile. So you definitely notice that. Of course, it is at the cost of the high-end, maximum speed. But who cares? The bike can still probably do close to 180 kilometers an hour, even with this gearing. Stock gearing, I've seen reports of people achieving around 200 kilometers an hour, which, of course, that depends on how flat the road is, and the tailwind, the headwind, and how much gas you got in the tank. The bike is obviously a lot quicker when you're running very few liters of fuel in the tank versus having a full tank. That's another little trick where you can lighten your bike up. Don't fill up the tank all the time, especially if you're looking to race it. But you got to be a light person, meaning that, if you weigh around 180 pounds or less, you can make the bike rock. But some of these Indonesians and Filipinos that I see that own these bikes, when they weigh a lean 130 pounds, they can really make this bike rock. Because, it's all about the weight on a smaller bike. It's, it's physics. Less weight you got to move, the faster the bike will move. So, what else do we got here for mods? Of course, I got a tank bag on here, and if you are familiar with the R3, the tanks are plastic. They're not metal, so a magnetic mount tank bag isn't going to work, so I had to strap it on and use a bit of Velcro, because there's times when you get to pick up a few groceries or something, and you can't really carry it very easily on a bike, and a tank bag really does make a difference. And of course, I do have a GoPro mount, which I use kind of like a dash camera, so to speak, for the motorcycle, just to prove who's at fault if somebody hits me. I think it's a smart little thing to have, but you do you, I do me. I personally don't like my insurance to go up and have somebody claim that I caused the accident when in fact they caused the accident. It's pretty easy for somebody else to hit you and claim they didn't see you on a motorcycle. Now, I do have a few more parts coming over the summer, but most of them aren't really that much fun to talk about. But I figured I would show you what I've done to the R3, lightened it up at least 15 pounds. moves a lot quicker, and it's geared a little shorter rather than longer. And if I was to do a little bit of highway touring, like if I was to do a cross-Canada tour on it, which you actually could do on an R3, I'd put back the stock front gearing, go to a 14-tooth system, maybe even move up to a 15 so the engine doesn't have to work that hard. But for me, you know, I don't do more than a couple hours on a freeway or a highway at a time anyway. So this works good because a lot of in-town driving allows me to get out of people's way before they hit me. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this tour of my R3 mods, and you can put your comments down below if you have any questions, and hope you're doing well out there, and as always, keep your wheels on the ground. Stay safe. Over and out.
I got you.